Good day once again. I trust we're having a lovely day. My fellow soldiers of the cross. I was actually meditating and I thought, why not come here and J-Talk? Just think out loud. Yeah, J-Talk. I was thinking of the word silent or silence. As much as we throw that word around, it is so powerful, it is so deep, and I thought, wow. Because when we think of the word silent or silence, if we're going to think of two or three definitions, we could say it implies or it means stillness or quietness, no sound at all, just being still, being calm, not audible, just a few descriptions or meaning of the word. Now, I want to relate it to our spiritual walk. We know that wisdom actually talks of silence, or it has its root. The word silent or silence has its root in wisdom. Men of wisdom, they're never in a hurry to speak. They observe, they ponder, they think on the situation or the event unfolding before them, because they need to make informed decisions or to judge dispassionately without bias, and it just speaks about fairness across board and justice. As I said, I want to tie it to our spiritual journey or spiritual walk when you think about the word silent or silence. It's also a form of meditation because most times people come before God, they pray, and at times they're quiet or they're silent. Christians talk about retreat at the beginning of the year. Oh, let's have our retreat. Don't forget to do your retreat. What is that all about? Just recoiling from the noisy world around us or the noisy environment around us and just thinking and pondering on past events or how the previous year had been and how to move forward to just gain spiritual and mental strength, guidance, direction, wisdom, and all that to hear from God. But I also realized that silence shouldn't just be when we retreat and go before God in prayer or in worship, because sometimes after worship, sometimes after prayer, you're just silent before God in case He wants to speak to you, you know. But I think there's a deeper call. Silence should be a form of our lifestyle, it should be a way of life. Silence should be an everyday practice because when one runs his mouth or runs her mouth, one exposes himself or exposes herself. But when you're quiet, now that is not to say you shouldn't speak at all. Not at all. I'm not saying you should go and take the oath of silence and never speak or no, not at all. But I'm just saying that we shouldn't be quick or hasty with our words because the Bible talks about being hasty with words because most times it can put people in trouble. I feel that when you're silent, you apply that in your everyday life. You're shrouded in mystery. It makes you stand out. It also helps us hear God more because aside from going into the place of prayer or into the place of worship and thanksgiving, and later saying that, okay, as a practice, let me be quiet and hear what God would tell me. That is all in order. That is good and well. Not a problem at all. But when we now make it a habit of reading our minds of all the clutter, of saying, you know what, God, I need you to take care of all the murky areas in my life, in my mind, in my thoughts. Just help me reorganize my mind, reorientate my way of thinking. That really, really helps. And that way, every single day, we're actually silent. Now, silence actually helps organize our minds. I can tell you that for free. Take it to the bank, cash and spend. That I can tell you. Because I could be in the midst of people. I won't switch off negatively, but I now reorganize my mind. I now embrace a new paradigm shift so that I'm like, you know what, God, in the midst of this conversation, in the midst of this event, in the midst of work, my mind is in tune to you. My mind is quiet. My mind is silent. So I can hear from you. I need to hear from you when my mind is lucid. My mind is clear. My mind is crystal. Because that way you don't miss God's word. You don't miss God's direction. You don't miss God's seasons. You don't miss God's timing. You don't miss God's message. You don't miss God's will for your life. So for me, I think that making silence a lifestyle is deeper than staying silent before God after worship or after prayers. Making it a lifestyle is beautiful because then you see God's splendor, you see His majesty, you see His grace increase more in your life. It makes you a better person, it makes you become humble. You're not judgmental, you're not biased. I know that for a fact. It breaks you. And as I said, it's rooted in wisdom. Do you know wisdom makes you look foolish sometimes? Because there are times you know you're right, but you see this person standing before you and saying all kinds of things just to prove a point. And you just hear God say, be silent, be quiet. You know, the word is used, I think the word sailor or Sila is used about 74 times in the Bible, 3 times in the book of Habakkuk, and 71 times in the book of Psalms. And I think at different points in time, it has different meanings. But I know I came across one of the Psalms that David wrote, and the meaning at that particular point was pause, think. Silence makes you pause a lot. It makes you think a lot, especially now that the world is so chaotic. The world is so noisy. Oh my goodness. But you know what, Ecclesia? When we embrace silence, that is actually a language of God. It's a language of the Spirit. Just be quiet, observe. And the more we do that, the more we hear from God. The more we gain clarity on the assignment, the mandate, the great commission that we need to do for God. Because there are a lot of things we need to do for God. God needs us. He desires to work through us. But if we're not silent in His presence and embracing that as a lifestyle to hear instructions from Him per time, then how do we do it then? So I just thought to say, let's try and practice silence more, not just in the place of prayer, but as a lifestyle. See you next time. Bye. Salute.